Hey, everybody. Tonight, an editorial or a strong opinion, if you wish, of the latest woke equity progressive insanity from the administrators at the elite, or should I say the once elite, Thomas Jefferson High School in Fairfax County, Virginia. It reminds me of a short story by one of my favorite authors, Kurt Vonnegut. First, let me tell you about the situation at Thomas Jefferson. And by the way, I'm surprised that name of an old white founding father hasn't been changed yet in the interest of removing the stain of our horrible nation's racist past. I guess we'll get to that eventually, but I digress. Anyway, it turns out that the school's administrators, now get this, have been purposely failing to inform high-performing students that they had made the list of commended students because of their high scores in the National Merit Scholarship Competition. To achieve that status, they had to score very high, in fact, in the top 3%. But because the students were not informed, they had no idea that they achieved the commendation, so they did not include that in their college entrance applications, trying to get into some very top schools, hard to get into to begin with, but they couldn't cite that achievement. Now, what was the reason for not informing the students or their parents? Well, in this day and age of increasing wokeness, that's easy to guess, isn't it? You probably guessed it already. It was because school officials didn't want to hurt the feelings of other students who did not score as high. Now, this, of course, has enraged the students and their parents, and in fact spurred an investigation into the matter by Virginia's governor, Glenn Youngkin, and his state's attorney general, and others who don't quite understand or see the wisdom or fairness of ignoring and concealing merit and achievement for the sake of inclusion, diversity, and equity. Now, getting back to Vonnegut, in 1961, when the press for equality that would later morph into equity was first beginning to be seen in politics and American society, Kurt Vonnegut wrote a short story entitled Harrison Bergeron. It depicted a future society in which the government strictly enforced laws ensuring that everyone would be equal in every way. This was achieved by handicapping citizens physically and mentally so that no one could be superior to or outperform anyone else in any way. For instance, citizens born with superior intellects were prevented from thinking clearly by means of headphones, which would blare distracting, deafening noises into skulls whenever anyone began thinking about anything in any logical, clear, analytical, or superior way. And those with superior physical skills, athletes, and even ballerinas, would be weighed down, actually weighed down by weight, scrap metal, and other hindrances, so they could not physically outperform any other person in the entire United States. And even those who were just better looking than an average citizen would be required to wear such things as clown noses, horrible masks, or bags over their heads to hide their natural beauty. Now, all of this was made legal and authorized by the 211th, 212th, and 213th Amendments to the U.S. Constitution and enforced strictly and harshly by the Handicapper General of the United States, a cabinet position, and filled by a character by the name of Diana Moon Glamperous. Now, at the time when Vonnegut wrote this, it could only be considered clear, clever, and hilarious satire, mocking the beginnings of the demands to make it a right for every citizen to be equal in every way, setting the stage for ever-increasing demands that no one be allowed to display or be praised for any skill, talent, intelligence, or feature that would diminish anyone else, that would make anyone else feel or be inferior in any way. Now, the story was set in the year 2081. What Vonnegut saw the beginnings of back in 1961 and feared what it would eventually evolve into is now increasingly apparent in our year of 2023, isn't it? 58 years ahead of Kurt Vonnegut's vision of our future society. And as Vonnegut would often say unoptimistically, and so it goes.